What is up, my guys? Welcome back to the channel known as Azure. As always, I am your host, Daniel, followed almost as always by my co-host.
Julian.
And today we're going to be talking about Samurai Jack Battle Through Time, a game that came out recently at the time of this recording, and something I just barely finished playing. All in all, it was a very entertaining game. I didn't really have that much high expectations because, well, I didn't realize there were Samurai Jack games out before this one, but there were, and I just never knew about them. What about you, Julian?
The only good Samurai Jack game before this may be Shadow Coup, but this one's clearly better. This is probably one of the best licensed games I've ever played, and I'll get into this further into the video and in just overall, just a very small amount of how much this is actually quality for me.
Of course. And so the main storyline of Battle Through Time takes place like literally on the climax of the season 5 finale, where Ashi and Samurai and Jack are going through the portal back to the past, but Aku does a last minute MacGuffin where he basically distorts the whole time flow, making it a separate little pocket dimension where time literally does not stop, play, can move forwards and backwards, and Jack literally has to relive mostly all of his significant parts of the series.
Or the ones that are basically shown. Because there are some that are missing, but obviously, you can only have so many levels based off of the episodes.
Yeah, exactly. That's why it's more so the creators got to pick and choose which part they like the most and what got to be a level in the game. So obviously, we have the Scotsman, because that's a fan favorite. And then we have the cemetery where Jack goes to. Then there's Aku City, Tower of Aku,
Aku City is the big
swamps. One. Yeah, Aku City is basically the biggest one, because you get most of there's like 2 levels focused on that city. First one is the Iwakandi, and the second one is where he's trying to run away from bounty hunters and everything like that.
Yeah. More so in the sense of like that's what everyone first saw was Aku City, right? That's the thing people want as like a level in a sense. That's the one where it's like if you don't have that, you messed up.
But yeah. All in all, this game is actually pretty good. The voice acting is on par. Aku's voice is actually a lot better in the game than it was in the season 5 of the show. I want to say, like you said, it was more basic because he was better directed in the game than he was in the show. Right?
Possibly because you remember before this, like he's good with Iroh, but Iroh and Aku are different. So that's kind of the problem with that is that since he had experience with season 5. And possible better direction. That's how he was able to improve.
Yeah,
within this.
Because if you guys don't know, the original voice actor of Aku and Iroh was a man named Mako who died back in 2006, I believe.
Yep, that's correct.
Yeah, rest in peace to Mako. He was a good actor, and he brought to life so many other characters. And so this new person who was brought in at the middle of Avatar season 3 and in Samurai Jack season 5, he was good as Iroh, like Julian stated, but his Aku voice was more, I want to say, like different in a sense, like because how I saw it was Aku and Iroh technically did have the same voice. It's just that Aku obviously was more in a sinister tone, but in season 5 of Samurai Jack, the tone and more delivery so was more kind of like comedic sense to me. It was more upbeat in a sense.
He couldn't get the inflections right.
There you go. That's what I was trying to say. But in the game, like it's more like, oh yeah, this guy definitely sounds a lot like Mako, and how he changed the tone of his voice, his inflections, and everything else. But like, yeah, this is probably a true successor to Mako, in a sense.
Yeah. He's always been. It's just now that he's able to succeed in his other legendary role when it comes to animated TV shows.
Exactly.
Obviously. We always gotta respect the fact that he was in Conan the Barbarian, no matter what.
Yeah, and, of course.
What is it? The other thing too is that this gives, I'd say, honestly, a better final battle to Aku than the show actually did with how it's. But this is that's endgame stuff.
Yeah, that's why. So in a sense, this game overall is pretty good. The only little problems I faced were like little nitpick stuff, like the whole Soul Eater was his name, I think.
Oh yeah. Well, my big problem is that not big problem because again, this is kind of the thing I'll get into after the link to when I talk about this again at some point, which is that while this is a Samurai Jack game, I see this mainly as a successor to the Ninja Gaiden games that have been in there for a while. But as a Samurai Jack fan, it sucks that there's not a voice acting for every line.
Mm-hmm.
But then as a Ninja Gaiden guy, I'm like, okay, like the voice acting doesn't like really matter to me. But like it does suck sometimes because then when you're interacting with the characters in a non-cutscene, it's just like, hey,
yeah, that's about it.
Or
it's really
samurai,
just,
right?
Mm-hmm. And then there's literally just dialogue boxes there to make you read
and so
and
that could be disappointing in that sense if you're only going into it as wanting to play just for Samurai Jack.
Yeah. Also,
but their picks were good, right? Because okay, the problem with the Soul Eater guy, I forget his, he was Demigogo, yeah. Problem with Demigogo is that he's fun to see the first half, but once you get into season 5, it's like, okay, like I don't need him anymore.
Exactly,
right?
like even in the cartoon, like he wasn't really there in season 5. He was only in like one episode where Ashi was trying to take some backstory on him, Jack.
He's still one of the best characters, but how much they used him is just like as a boss is the problem. Well, he could have been in cutscenes or whatever. Because like the Scotsman, right? Like all the picks were good. Scotsman, his daughter, the guy with the flute. I don't want to.
Scaramouche.
What's his name? Scaramouche. Really good pick.
The Iwakandi.
The Imakandi, the bounty hunters. Though it is in the legendary episode where it's the 7 bounty hunters, but that wouldn't really be a boss fight. It would just be Jack beating people in one hit. They had the six sister. Is it 6 or 7?
The 7 sisters of Aku, or 7 daughters. 7 daughters of Aku.
7 daughters. Yeah. They have the 7 daughters. They have.
They have the Samurai.
Yeah, they have the guy. Well, I'm saying bosses, but that's true too. But they also have who's the guy in the 3rd episode? He's the guy with like that's like the Titan, like the rock guy.
I think the Golem. The Golem. The Stone Golem or something like that.
Yeah, they have the Stone Golem, and they also have. They have the thing where it's like the mother, but it's like Aku controlling Ashi, so they have that too, like the really cool, like character. I think I'm missing one boss fight.
Yeah, the cemetery boss fight.
That's but what's she from? What episode is she? I forget.
I don't really know. Like her more is like a little bit of a subpart arc in the whole series. I think that's why. Yeah,
because all the rest are just like I guess because like there's not really other cemetery bosses you could do, so they're like let's use her.
In terms of that, they could have changed it to the whole Ghost Samurai in season 5 when he was about to commit seppuku. Remember?
That is true.
That spirit that was just following him.
They could have done that, but so I guess they could have the cemetery been like once it was season 5.
Yeah.
Possible thing, but I mean, the rest of the level's really good actually. It's not my favorite, but that's more into a like detail. So I'll only go like my favorite levels are the odd ones. So like 1, 3, 5, 7, and 9 obviously is the last one.
Yeah.
Where the weaker ones for me, which I still like, are 2, 4, 6, 8.
Yeah.
And 4 is the cemetery, so that's a good example of.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that just goes to show like there's really not that much to complain about in this game. Like it's literally that good of a game. There's not really any complaints you could have.
As long as you know what you're getting into. As long as you know what you're getting into, right? Because there is like it's not open world. It's not that long, and like you need to replay it. That's the thing. This one game you actually need to replay because if you only play it once.
Yeah, then you're not really getting the whole full experience that this game is trying to give you.
You actually don't even get all your upgrades. Like that's not like the fact that you don't have all your upgrades when you replay. You're like, oh my gosh, it feels so different. And like also all the way all the enemies layouts are different is the same. Where it's like when I was seeing you play this on Jack difficulty, and since I played it all 4 times, I played all the difficulties. All of them have different enemy layouts and like the health and some other things like that. Gives you completely different feeling because you'll have end game things, right? You know how you have like cannonball guys.
Yeah.
They show up at like episode like 7 or whatever in this, right? In like the Jack mode, right? They show up in the first episode in Master Samurai, and I think even like, and definitely Master of Masters.
Of course,
and like that's the kind of thing, right? Where it's like, and so it's like it only gets harder from there with that. And they definitely know, but then you know ways to how to beat all the enemies. Yeah. And the only problem I have with the weapon layout, this is another thing, is guns should have had enemies that were weak to guns alone, or like died in one hit, right? Because the fact that everything can be done with a bow and arrow and a shuriken makes it so the ranged weapons don't have enough like interesting
Yeah, they kind of
aspect to it.
they just made the range of weapons kind of OP in this game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, more so in the sense bow and arrow and shuriken when it comes to specifically where ranged weapons are good. Because in higher difficulty, ranged weapons aren't OP. There's certain enemies where you have to use physical no matter what.
Yeah.
Which is another reason why you had to do higher difficulty, so you can really see how they balance things. But the one thing I'll give to this too is that while sword and close combat get better at the end, like they definitely have more work put into them. I will say that lance and hammer can be used really well at the beginning. One thing, hammer is probably the best at the beginning for me, and close combat. But then at the end, there are some pretty good like stuff for lance. It's just that sword and what is it?
I think
close combat. Close combat's amazing. Like close combat is way too strong, especially because you have invincibility frames because they have a Dragon Punch and like that Tatsumaki that Ryu does in Street Fighter. Those two moves are way too good.
I think it's because like and mostly they try to make it so like it's kind of like how it is in the show. Like he mainly uses a sword and his fist. Like he doesn't really use that many other type of weapons. So they kind of made more emphasis on this in the game. Where this character is known for using a sword in his hands, not really more of a hammer or lance or anything like that, or even guns for that matter. Until like season 5, where he only uses a gun like the first episode. That's about it.
Yeah, we'll give them the benefit of the doubt when it comes to show stuff like that, but gameplay wise, it is nice to sometimes use. You know, if you have the two weapons, you should make them better.
In terms of gameplay wise, it's better to see more of a variety in terms of using all the weapons you get instead of just mainly having sword and lance.
But
sword and fist.
There are some enemies that are weak to lance and hammer, and you do realize that later, where it's like, okay, that now they do have some use still in like,
of course,
the later like ones, and especially though like end game sword, like there's a sword you can get in the 3rd level where if you blow up one of the walls, if you get that sword, like you don't just win the game, but man, it makes it so much more useful, and you need that in Masters and Master. Like you need to find everything in Master.
Okay. But also speaking of everything, like the whole Shogun coins and everything like that, those ones, that's also a reason you could do a replay, because some of these coins are really well hidden, so you kind of have to go through the game over and over again just to find them. Because the reason you need to find them is because like the ending of this game ends like on season 5 finale, but it doesn't show the whole wedding and scene and everything like that. But if you get all the Shogun coins, all the collectibles, then it's gonna play out the whole season series finale.
And it might hint that Ashi is still actually
alive.
Possibly, yeah. Like there's a little hint, so it's not really too spoilery, but there is that nice little like, oh, it could be possible.
Yeah, I mean, it's like it kind of does do a better job as a series finale rather than the actual series finale, where it just ended like on like a really melancholy note, where like I killed Aku and that's happy, but I still lost Ashi, but all in all, good one. Or this one, like it gives Jack hope that Ashi might still be alive in a sense, or at least give the fans hope that Ashi's alive.
Yeah, it's like it's still that interpretation where it's like, because in the original it's basically the Ladybug is her new incarnation, form. But in this one it's like that's still the case, or you could interpret it as the fact that she is actually back with Jack, right? Because with a secret ending, and I do respect that in with that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And the other thing I'd give to this too is the fact that they have stuff like Jump Good as like an upgrade. So all the upgrades are based off of his encounters, like the stuff he's actually learned from the previous episodes.
Yeah, like Jump Good and everything like that. Yeah, I was actually surprised that Jump Good was an unlockable thing. I thought you had to buy it from the Samurai, but no, you could unlock it as a skill.
Yeah, and then like the ninjas and like, I guess the ninja is also an enemy.
Yeah, I would love to see like more of a cosmetic design. Actually, like, you could dress as his samurai thing, you can dress.
You can dress between season 5 and Samurai in any level. And I think there's like one other costume. I think there's at least 2 costumes, but there might be 3.
Yeah, because I really wanted to see like the whole ninja thing, because that one was actually my favorite design for Jack. The whole ninja.
Oh, that's true. They could. I'm waiting for mods possibly. But
of course there's mods for this game.
The one thing I'll say is that that this isn't the best optimized game, and so you do actually need like a PC or a decent one to not have it sound like a jet engine, because I've heard on like PS4 it's not the best run thing, and like it actually heats it up pretty high, which so I'm like, oh, it's good to have this on.
Same,
on like
That's another thing too. That's another thing
PC.
too. Like, the whole graphics of the game. It took me a while to actually get used to them because I was like, "What the hell? Why does it look like?" I get they're going for like more of a cartoonish look for it, but it was like done in like an odd way for me. But I liked it in the end. Like it was just more of like get used to it kind of thing.
Yeah, honestly, I only started to really appreciate it once the episode 6 and 5
Mm-hmm.
like showed up. Like so, basically, like there's the reason why. Not 6, my bad. 7, yeah, 7. Like and yeah, 7 and 5. Because
Mm-hmm.
I don't really appreciate it once they did the really good Jack episode stuff, like with like the really good level, like not level design. Well, I mean they are good level design, but more so in
Yeah.
the sense of the like world design, right? Because when you see Aku City, it's like, yeah, that's how I imagined it. And when you see like how it looks, it's like this looks as pretty as it did in the show. That kind of
Yeah.
like
That's.
how it is with like the rivers and the blue, and then you go underground and you see like the graves.
Mm-hmm.
It's like I think the lighting there was really improved,
Of course. Yeah.
and it really showed how they knew what they were doing. Because I'm pretty sure they said they were fans. I remember I think Gennady said that like he was kind of worried about
Gennady
like
is Gendy.
Gendy, yeah. But
Yeah.
basically, like he was worried about like it's like, oh man, I got inspired. I don't know how like the people who are actually like Japanese will like interpret the show. And then like I think it's like when he went to the studio, he saw like the studio and they had like posters and stuff and things like that, and then they were like, oh, I love this episode, or oh, I love the show or whatever. And he's like, oh good, I
Yeah.
didn't mess up. So like these developers do actually care, and there is that kind of like
Mm-hmm.
almost Transformers devastation level of like detail to it for what they could do with their budget.
Of course. Yeah.
And it
Yeah,
really
this
makes me
is-
hope that like Adult Swim Games keeps on making more like high production game
Mhm.
things like this, so that because it's like it's the kind of thing where it's that Battle for Bikini Bottom aspect for me, where it's like it also had a really good soundtrack for me, especially the last episode, the last level
Uh-huh.
is like that song. I think is actually like really good, specifically that and the Graveyard one. But like,
Oh yeah. The music was on point. Yeah. In this game, like the whole sound design and everything was actually pretty done. I usually like I played it a little bit off the stream and everything. That was me just standing there listening to the music. I was like, damn, this is actually pretty good.
yeah, because that's part of the thing that got me really into like the last. That's one of the reasons I kind of prefer this to the final confrontation of Ku in season 5 is because like in that one like the music. I don't think they had music in the last episode, but like it wasn't
I think
that
they did.
great. But
Yeah.
like in this one, it's like so triumphant. It's like you're finally facing
Mhm.
him. You're finally like going to succeed in beating
Mm-hmm.
him, and to finally like ending this 50-year cycle. Well, 50 plus, because
Yeah,
technically he does have to live through all this again in a sense. He has to live through
Yeah.
a bunch of these encounters again. And I think that's actually one of the things I really like too, is that they got in the cutscenes too,
Mm-hmm.
which aren't the highest budget, is that they did get a lot of the shows like writing down like how it's done well. Like the humor, like the one of my favorite cutscenes is actually because of in episode 7, where it's like he's like, oh no, the 7 sisters. Oh no, where's like Ashi? And then he sees like the random grunts, and it's like, oh, like he's like, whatever, I faced you before.
Oh yeah, that's
It's
true.
like he knows the audience, and everyone knows, even himself, Jack. It's like this means nothing. Like the difficulty is gonna be once I face the sisters.
Exactly. Yeah. Because even then, like, in the sister fight, he tries to save the sisters, because he knows if this is the past, so he could alter it if he wants to, but in the end, it doesn't really work out. He still ends up killing the sisters, and anyways, and Ashi's the only one alive.
Yeah. Well, only one alive, but you forget that Aku does one of my favorite things he's ever done in the series,
Oh,
which
yeah.
is he just does a small push and she gets stabbed by his sword, and he just completely loses it.
Oh yeah, 'cause I mean that's still well. And I didn't say that because that's literally just like a manipulation tactic for him.
Yeah, but
why-
that's what I mean. It's like it's one of my favorite like. It's honestly one of my favorite things he's done. Just like kind of getting to Jack's head. He still's got it.
Mhm.
Well, I guess because he doesn't have the depression. Because in season 5 he had a bit of a like.
a depression because he killed like those innocent goats. That's why, trying to get to the
Yeah.
last portal. So yeah, what's it
and-
called? Speaking back to the sound design, like there was music in that last episode of Samurai Jack. It's just that what's it called? It was more undertone. That's how it was. Like there was triumphant music when all of Jack's allies came to fight Aku, and more so when he was going back in time, and the whole somberness of the last scene, where it's more operatic in a sense, but it takes more of a backstep as opposed to the game, where it's more in the foreground, where you're meant to feel this sense of excitement, because unlike the show, you're more in it. This game is more interactive than that. It needs you to get pumped up in order to actually face Aku. That's what
yeah,
I think it's supposed to be.
I like the somberness. It's just more like when the battle was actually happening. I like that kind of when he's taking down the like generic enemies. But what else was it? Is you're talking about the sisters? Oh yeah, the samurai being in this is like. I really do like that he was always the one I was like, oh, I want him to be back for one more time, and he's a shopkeeper. That's a really good place for him to be in there.
No. Yeah, it was nice to see all the people back, and even the dogs from the first episode that they're back.
Rothschild.
That just goes to show, like, yeah, I hope, like you, I hope Adult Swim keeps taking care and actually does do more better games, because I know, like, in the streams I was like saying like, oh yeah, I never played an Adult Swim game, because every time I saw a commercial they were always like literally terrible looking and everything, and you said like, yeah, well, that's probably because they were just like little mobile games and everything like that. But even so, like, to have them do a full on game like this and make it look this good, that does give me a bit more hope for them in the future.
Yeah, I mean, you were too really young to know about the Harvey Birdman game.
Oh yeah,
but yeah, that was like I mean, it was Wii, but that's still higher than mobile, and that was made by Capcom. As I said, I think I said that before, but that's definitely something where it's like Adult Swim can put the money in, and I hope this one made enough, because at the very least they could always make a sequel to this with the King Jack storyline.
Oh yeah, you kept mentioning that every time in the stream, like, oh yeah, I hope they make a King Jack storyline.
Well, the thing is that there's only 2 bosses they're missing in this.
Yeah, no, I understand why you're excited.
And that's the one thing I'll say, is that they're missing Mad Jack. Because they only have Good Jack in this.
Yeah.
Ghost-wise. And they're missing the Guardian. And if you do King Jack's storyline, you can get those 2. Those are the only 2 where you're like, why didn't they do that, man? Yeah. And then they could do more episodes. Like, they could do like the 4 seasons or things like that. Because like they've already done these 9 episodes, so they could do another 9 with those levels. Exactly. And that would make it like a lot more fun in a sense. Yeah. And then they can improve on the gameplay too, because King Jack would have a different moveset than
regular Jack and all of the bosses.
Yeah, rather than time skip Jack could be, yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Also, I would love to see the Spartans come back again, because those people were kind of like favorites.
See, so you could have like a Spartan level as a like kind of thing.
As a prelude to the King Jack story.
Yeah, or just like, you know, it's the same concept, right? He redoes all the levels because, as soon as he's about to kill Aku, he takes it back like this, and he could relive. Like, just have it be the same exact concept, but without like Ashi being the focus, instead having it be like King Jack seeing his whole life again through like his 50 years, because he was supposed to be like 60 when he like finally killed Aku. Anyways, even in the King Jack storyline.
Oh yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah, because Guardian would be a great fight, and so would Jack too. Because Jack's moveset, imagine having to face that. Like, that'd be really fun to like see that. And the same with the Guardian, like him being a really quick bruiser that would just like damage you. Like him as almost like a super boss kind of thing.
Oh yeah,
would have been really fun to see.
Of course, yeah. Oh, I mean, we could always go in depth of what we could have been if we ever do like a Let's Talk Samurai Jack series episode.
Oh yeah, you're saying like talking about the comics and like the show and how they differentiate.
Yeah, that's what we could do. Yeah, good idea for a later video.
Yeah, that's the thing with this game. I have I guess I'm missing like one. Let's see, we talked about music, art. Oh yeah, there's like 2 or 3 more things I'm gonna mention again too. Is that one of them is I actually really like the intro where it shows the 3 like eras for Jack.
Oh yeah, that was nice. Yeah.
So the first one's like the prologue, you know, because sometimes it's flashback episodes where it's before everything gets destroyed.
Yeah.
Then the second one is like when it gets destroyed and how he looks during the first 4 seasons. And the third one shows, as you mentioned, how like there's the somberness at the climax. That they showed that somberness. Well, one with the song in the intro before you start the game up, and with like it shows the rain and like it shows Jack being more defeated. He doesn't have his sword on him.
Yeah, it's more
like, that's a good detail.
Yeah, it's more of an aftermath of what happened in the 50 years that passed.
Yeah,
That's
but what is it? Oh, the other thing I like is the key attack too.
Oh yeah, the key attacks. Those are nice. Favorite one is probably the fist key attack because that one literally just sends a whole shockwave in a 360 degree where it literally eliminates most of the enemies around.
Yeah,
That one's probably my favorite.
Yeah, fist and sword. Sword's really good once you get to master because like sometimes fist won't do enough damage, and so then you'll use sword, and if you use the best sword, then it just decimates ninjas, and you need it. Like, oh my god, dude! If I didn't have that sword, I would have been so much more like, not pissed, but like it would have been harder because like when you use it on a ninja with that sword, you get another key attack back, and it's like that's perfect. Okay. And the other thing I really like about that mechanic too is that jump good can be used as an extra attack, right? There's actually a unique attack for jump good.
Oh yeah,
compared to double jump and single jumps.
Oh yeah, I think I did an attack with jump good. Yeah.
Yeah, and then the other one is that
I did do an attack with jump good.
When you have all your key attacks, you actually do more damage naturally when you get that upgrade, and I really like that too because it makes it so that you want to kind of even save them up even more so because you actually do more damage if you don't. So you only use it. You had to kind of gamble. It's like, do I want to kill all these enemies right now, or do I want to keep Jack to have better defense and attack generally? Yeah. So then it's only during the boss fights where you're like, okay, I'm gonna dump these.
Yeah, I can see that. Oh. Yeah. Overall, this game was actually enjoyable, and I actually would like to see a sequel. Other than that, I don't really have anything much to say. What about you?
Well, I got a lot more to say, but I'll keep it short with this. It's honestly probably one of my favorites right now. I hope the Salil Games makes more Ninja Gaiden like games. And I hope the Ninja Gaiden games actually come out on Steam at some point. And I hope Adult Swim makes more
games like this, or
just more budget games, like developers that actually seem to care. And also clearly I 100% it, so I could go into more details, but it was one of my favorites. I'll probably replay it again, maybe once a year, possibly. Because that's the thing I like, too, about it, is that it's short enough where you can replay it a lot, and there's no bloat. I understand people say, oh, it's 6 hours. Yeah, it's 6 hours without any, stupid bull where you had to do, oh, fine, talk to this guy, now talk to this guy, now talk to this guy. Now you can do the mission. It's just, do the mission, you're done. Here's your rank. So nice sometimes to just not have to deal with 90 hours of busy work and just get through it. Because now I could just replay it and have fun with it for one day. It's it's like watching an episode, right? Oh, watch an episode. Boom, you just watched one.
Yeah, I'll give it to that. Yeah, I'm probably gonna replay this too in the future, just to just get better at the game in general. But yeah. Other than that, questions, comments, concerns, you guys all know what to do. You guys want to check out our channel? I'll put a link in the description on Twitch. I'll put the Twitch stream link in the description. Other than that, got nothing else to say. You guys have a good one. See ya.
See ya.